So, The Last of Us TV show just dropped. I'm just getting to it now. I know the Last of Us remastered version. That's the history I'm going into with this. And I already know that the TV series is starting off in a disadvantage because, as it stands right now, I feel like it's easier to get across characters and story way easier in that thing than it's going to be here. Despite the fact that the episodes are apparently going to be Sherlock Holmes level length, where it's like a 1 hour and 20 minutes. Wasn't expecting that. But I feel like the game just had more time and more commitment to it. Whereas this, I don't know. From what I've seen from the last video game series, most of them are just cash grabs. We'll see how this one goes. I'm not really going to try and make any comparisons to the video game. I'll try and treat it like I treated Velma. That was a sick intro. That was really sick. That was really quiet. That was really deliberate. Bringing up global warming without actually bringing up global warming. The whole ideal of the fungus and all that stuff, that I like that. That's a beautiful setup to this. I like that. They need to start doing stuff like that more. Another thing to make note of is the pacing of this so far. It's really taking its time with it, which I like. For this particular thing, I do like that very much. I said it didn't have enough time to do much of anything because it's a TV series, but because of the 1 hour 20 episodes, it does have a good amount of time. I still don't think it's going to be able to match the time the video game has, but I don't know. Maybe I'm proven wrong. So I know they're following the story from the video game. I can see like all the similarities so far. But hell, now that I'm looking at it, I feel like sometimes it has some more time because I mean, now you actually get to see the Adlers. It was pretty great. It was pretty great. Sarah's murder, I knew it was going to happen. I like that they're keeping with the lore so far. But I mean, I also don't expect them to like stick with the lore because I mean, I kind of also don't want them to stick with the lore a little bit too much because I mean, I already played the video game, so I'm interested to see what they're doing that's outside of the lore. They got me interested so far because I mean, it's the basic setup from the game, which I'm not trying to draw to the game, but that's all I can draw to so far because they're pretty much copying it, scene for scene almost. The only difference so far was the Adlers. That's the big difference. I didn't really see the Adlers except for maybe like one quick moment in the video game. So this is pretty good so far. We'll see how it deviates from the game. I know I mentioned that I won. Where am I? About like 40 minutes into the episode. Ellie's name was just discovered, if you want a reference point. I would like to talk about this series without drawing back to the video game. I don't want to keep comparing the two because it's not fair to the series itself, but at this point I really only have the video game to kind of compare it to because I mean nothing really major has happened. We see that Joel has become more grisly than ever now just because of the events that happened, but that was also from the video game. We see Ellie being feisty, but that was also from the video game. There is one major difference so far, which is really why Tess and Joel go to find the guy who stole their battery or whatever. Like originally, it was only just because they cheated them and they want revenge. That was their only reason, from what I remember. But now the reason is because Joel is worried about Tommy. I'm pretty sure that wasn't said at the video game, so it's an added reason for Joel to want to go find Tommy. I'm not sure why that changes there. Maybe they're trying to make Joel more sympathetic. The whole point of Joel was that he wasn't sympathetic, so we'll see how that translates. If I weren't to draw from the video game so far, what I would say is the only major character that has any kind of character development is Joel, because he starts out, for the most part, soft and sarcastic. But then when everything happens, he's more grisly, he's more grumpy. But at the same time, he still cares about his family, so that much hasn't changed. You can clearly see that time has numbed him to all the drama that's happening. I suppose another change maybe was the relationship between Joel and Tess. I don't really know how close they were in the video game. I thought they were only like co-workers or strictly just professional. Here it seems like they're a couple, which maybe would explain the reason why Tess is so okay with wanting to go search with Tommy. I feel like Tess wouldn't have done that in the video game. So I think that's why that change happened. Again, I'd like to keep making a comparison outside the video game and just judge the series as it is, but so far all that's happened is stuff from the video game with one major exception. There's a lot of build up for this episode. Nothing really major has happened, but well, something major has happened, the outbreak, but it's quickly setting up for something else, after the outbreak. And I want to see where that goes. I'm curious to see what the stopping point is. Like, do they take the job or do they not? I feel like this stopping point will be when they take the job from the Fireflies. We're not judging based off the video game. The world is interesting. It turned into a military state. It turned into a place where they kill kids who are infected. That much is understandable. It hasn't changed much. The reality is it's the same kind of world that The Last of Us has always had. So I'm happy to see that the same kind of brutality is here in this series. I will say this though, they have a lot of extras. I don't know how much money was put into this series, but there seems to be a lot because the production is top notch. You know what I mean? Okay, just got to the end of the episode. Regardless of whether it follows the video game or not, I'm liking the way it's continuing. The Last of Us always had a good story, and this thing's just telling the same story over again, which I don't mind, don't get me wrong. But the story's interesting no matter what kind of medium it is. Yeah, I want to watch more. As opposed to Velma though, where I'm just kind of curious to see what happens and how far they go. This one I'm interested to see more. Even if I didn't know the video game, I would be interested to see what happens and where it goes. You know what I mean? So they're building it up nicely. It ended with the reveal that she was bitten, and this leads into the fact that she's immune eventually. From what I know, the entire series is going to be basically just the first game, plus maybe the DLC with her and Riley. This Ellie seems a little different from the video games. She seems more sassy. That being said, in this case, I kind of accept that because so far from what we've seen, she has no reason to trust them. And if anything, they've been nothing but assholes to her. There isn't really much else to say. I like where it's going. I like how it ended. The radio going off, signifying trouble and stuff like that. I don't really have much to say. It's just I want to see more. I'm not really sure what the subscription fee is for HBO Max, but we'll see if this turns into a series where it's worth buying the HBO Max package for. That was episode 1. I'll see you next time for episode 2.